I'd like to introduce Valarie from the United States, who takes LDN for Hashimoto's and chronic fatigue syndrome. Thank you for joining me, Valarie.
Thank you, sure.
Could you tell us when you first started to get sick?
The first time I knew I was sick was about a year ago, but probably symptoms much longer than that.
Mm-hmm. And if you don't mind me asking, how old were you?
A year ago, I was 57.
Okay, you're the same age as me then.
Ah.
So, okay, what happened to you last year?
Well, I was trying to get my life in order, trying to lose some weight, trying to be a little bit healthier. So I did a trial run at a health club nearby, and I worked out 1 or 2 days, and my recovery time was terrible. I know what normal recovery is, and while I hadn't exercised intensely in a while, there was just no recovery. Each day after I exercised, I got worse and worse. One of the things that happened to me was one day I just got out of bed, tried to do make breakfast, whatever, and absolutely could not. Had to go back to bed and could not get out of bed for the entire day. Just total exhaustion, unable to move. I have dogs that I have to take care of, and I couldn't even take care of them. I just literally could not move out of my bed. Mm-hmm. So I went to my regular physician and said, I don't know what this is, but this is such fatigue that I never, ever, couldn't believe it. And she just said, oh, maybe you have the flu. Mm. So tested me for the flu and said, no, you don't have the flu. So you're just probably not feeling well, that's all. It just kind of blew me off.
Wow. That's sympathy for you.
So after that, I just started to try to figure out what was going on with me, because there were more and more days like that when just getting out of bed was a chore. Mm-hmm. So I just went online. I have a number of friends as well as family members who are suffering with similar symptoms, and obviously we talk, and they said maybe you ought to check to see if this is something that you have wrong with you, is the Hashimoto's or just your thyroid, whatever. So another opportunity came up. I went, I think it was my physical. Yes, that was just days before my physical that I had gone in with such fatigue. So when I went for my physical, I asked my doctor, could you run these additional tests? So the tests for the T3, the free T3, all those tests that I had read about online. And she's like, I don't need to test for that. You have thyroid problems. And I said, I know, but just humor me. Take these tests for me. So she's like, well, all right, if you want them, I'll run them. So we ran the tests. She called me up and she gave me my numbers. And I said, those aren't alarming to you. And she's like, well, no, you have Hashimoto's. And I said, so what shall we do about it? Well, we're not changing your course of action. We're just going to continue on the way we are. And I was like, because my antibodies were at 2,764. And I'm not certain how everyone measures those, but here on the charts that I see, they're supposed to be less than 39.
Wow.
And she was not concerned. That did not
really?
bother her at all.
Mm.
Yeah.
You were making a fuss for nothing, by the sounds of it. What happened next?
So I just did some research, and I went on to one of the pages on Facebook. I think it was, I don't know if it was Stop the Thyroid Madness or one of them, anyway. And I saw a list of doctors who they recommended to treat Hashimoto's, and just called and made an appointment and went in. Of course, none of it's covered by my insurance. It's all out of pocket, which is extremely expensive. But when you can't get out of bed every day, what else do? You just have to, people were saying, oh, that's too much money. You should never spend that much money for a doctor. Well, if you quality of life is zero, then you just have to figure out how to do it. Unfortunately, my husband and I are not wealthy, certainly, but able to afford, going to see a doctor who can give me some relief. So went to the Haltorf Medical Group and started with them.
Okay, and what happened then?
She gave me a barrage of tests. I think there were 18 or 20 blood draws, and just got the results. And she had, asked me a number of questions, and she had also asked, do you think of anything in your life that could possibly, when did this all start for you? And I said, well, the most recent was a few weeks ago, but going back through my life, I had a lot of problems, and of course the doctors, again, just put it off to, oh, well, that's the way it goes. I was a person who grew 8 inches in 3 months when I was about 14 years old.
Mm-hmm.
At that time, my doctor said overactive pituitary gland. And again, nothing done, but my doctor at Haltorf now says that's probably the start of all this. This is probably when it all started. Your pituitary gland should not be doing that. So she put me on a course of many things. Started me on a lot of supplements. I take probably 4 or 5 supplements every morning, and then same in the afternoon. She didn't put me on LDN until about maybe 3 or 4 months ago, I think 3 months ago. But she's just been trying different things to see how I'm reacting to them. Some I'm reacting to fine, some I'm not reacting to fine.
Mm-hmm.
But so for about a year now, I've been taking a lot of different things. Almost immediately when she put me on some of the supplements and did some of I'm trying to think of what exactly she gave me to start. She gave me T3, which made a huge improvement. She put me on a lot of different female hormones, so progesterone, testosterone, estrogen, just to see how my body would respond to those. And last time I went back, I said, I'm still not feeling wonderful. I feel okay. I feel much better because the improvement was almost immediate with all the other things that I was getting.
Mm-hmm.
But then I started backsliding. So then she said, shall we try the LDN? Why not? I'm game. But she had mentioned it at our first meeting, but we just didn't proceed with it because there were so many other things I was taking.
Can I just ask, before you started LDN, on a score of 1 to 10, what would it have been?
What was what?
Your quality of life on a score of 1 to 10, 10 being the best, before you started LDN?
For the LDN. Oh, I'd probably say 6.
Okay. And could you describe to us what a typical day was like for you at that time?
Before the LDN?
Yes.
Well, just, getting up, trying to, I don't work. I haven't worked in a number of years, and I think that also has to do with a lot of this Hashimoto's. Just get up, try to get stuff done around the house, try to take care of my pets. Not terribly productive, but able to move around, get things done, low energy. I get up very early in the morning, but then I also go to bed very early at night. By 8 or 9 o'clock at night, I'm exhausted. So, not terribly active, not doing really any exercises. Trying to, but just recovery's still not high for me yet. So.
Mm-hmm. And when you started LDN, did you notice any introductory side effects?
It's probably the first couple of days, a little nausea, but I have nausea with introducing anything to my body, so that's about it. I didn't notice really anything.
And how long did it take before you noticed improvements?
Well, since I've only been doing it for about 3 or 4 months now, I see some improvement, but probably maybe a month. But I'm not really certain what I'm supposed to be looking for as improvement.
Okay.
So I do have a better attitude. I do have but I think a lot of that is everything else that I'm taking as well. I'm not as stressed. I'm not as anxious, all those kinds of things. I do have a better attitude and outlook. So what
would you say your quality of life is like now on that score of 1 to 10?
Oh, I can't really go too much higher than an 8, but probably 8.
Wonderful. And what would you say to other people who are thinking of trying LDN?
I'm a very strong proponent of it. I think that it's definitely worth people trying. I know it might not do anything for some people, but I think it's definitely worth giving it a chance, because obviously before I started taking it, I went and did some research and found out all the benefits of it, aside from the things that it was supposed to do for me, just all the other benefits that can come about or possibly come about from taking LDN. So I think it's a wonderful drug that more people should probably have access to.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for sharing your experience with us. I really do appreciate it.
Sure, that's it.